Alright, hey everybody, this is Burt from SoftTubes and I'm here with another trailer reaction. This time it's a bit different. I'm gonna do a video game reaction instead of a movie, as I've been doing. I've been thinking about doing this for a while, but I'm finally gonna get into it. With E3 happening, there's a lot coming out. So I'm gonna start with Marvel's Avengers A-Day. I didn't get to see the Square Enix thing, so all that stuff, if I get around to it, it's all gonna be news. It's completely new to me, so we're gonna check this out right now and we'll see what it's like. In-engine footage. San Fran and a Quinjet. Looks alright.
You know that old saying?
Oh, an Avengers Tower in San Fran.
Never meet your heroes.
Helicarrier! An Avengers Helicarrier too, it looks like.
I did.
Okay, so yeah, A-Day is Avengers Day, so something must happen. Hey, Thor! Sorry, look. Better say that's an alright look for Thor, but I don't know about Caps. Banner looks good. Iron Man looks pretty good.
Thor, Tony, check it out. That's one.
I like everyone but Cap. Cap looks weird. I don't know.
This just got a whole lot more interesting.
Banner gotta turn Hulk. I'm a little disappointed they cut the transformation.
Let's make this quick.
I like Thor. I think Thor's the one I like the look of most.
You set him up. Foul, knocked him down.
Okay, so we've got some gameplay here.
Thor, what's your status?
There are humans trapped. Lots of small, angry men with guns.
Is that a joke? Did Thor make a joke?
Jesus.
Cat, they got
I'm getting screwed up. Yeah. So that's definitely gameplay there. Taskmaster? Maybe? Oof.
Tony, Thor, the cables! Cap, what's going on over there?
It's hard to tell how much gameplay there is. Cap just looks too bulky.
Chimera, what's your status? We should head back.
No, stay on task. There are still civilians on this bridge.
I think that is Taskmaster.
Damn it, they played us.
Oh! Oh! Cap was on there.
Some say they were.
Oh, shit. Sanford got messed up.
Call them murderers.
Do the Avengers pose a danger to society?
Whoa,
That was
Tony
the
got a
question,
beard.
Bruce. That was the question.
Well,
Oh, let's not have to look at Cap's outfit anymore. Oh, I love this
But
time
that's
there.
not how this story ends.
Okay. Hey, bomb! Space Iron Man! Yeah! Okay. Bump.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Don't know what that was. Alright, so first I'm gonna say I saw before I watched this some people I knew sort of talking about it. I tried to avoid anything that might be spoilery. Thankfully, no, I don't think there was anything they could have really spoiled here. Some people seem to like it and didn't like it, and that's a lot of what I'm seeing. And I can get some of the things they don't like. Because I saw comparisons specifically to the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game. And I can understand that, but I can also, in a sense, justify why there will be differences. And part of that is the very obvious fact that Spider-Man, they were just focusing on, within Insomniac Games, they were focusing on one character, essentially. Like, you play as Mary Jane and Miles at points, but it's pretty much focused on Spider-Man for most of the gameplay. So they were able to really, like, tighten up Spider-Man stuff. So they were able to tighten up the web swinging and the jumping and all his movement and his combat moves. Here the problem is, and whether or not it's a problem they created for themselves or they were simply, they were told, like, you can make a Marvel game and we'll give you the game, and they were like, here, have Avengers. Yeah, that's sort of like, it depends on whether this problem is theirs, because the problem is you're doing a team game. Problem with a team game like this is you've got to try and make every character feel kind of like themselves. Like Spider-Man could focus entirely on this. Here they've got multiple characters to try and make feel like a character. Which can be tricky. So you can't just focus on making Iron Man feel like Iron Man. You've also then on the side got to make Hulk feel like Hulk, and Thor feel like Thor, and Black Widow feel like Black Widow. And it becomes trickier the more you've got to do that. And that's where it's like they could have created this problem for themselves by saying, we're going to make an Avengers game, we're going to let you play as all the Avengers. It's tricky. There's definitely, like, given enough time, you can make something really good where you get really good gameplay for every character. Here, I do feel like there's a bit of risk, though, of certain characters feeling like they underperform. Like, I don't know how much you're ever going to feel like Thor. And then, I mean, even just, like, how is the changing between characters going to function? Like, if I'm playing as Thor and I'm feeling awesome and then I change to Black Widow, how is that shift going to work? To me, there's two ways I would love to do it. So the first one, what I think they should do, what I think could make this game special to get past all the problems, is cooperative. Hopefully 4-player, because there's at least 4 characters. I mean, Cap kind of goes away pretty quick. So there goes your 5th. But you got 4 there in Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, and Black Widow. So you could have 4 friends join up and you play as the Avengers and you all fight alongside each other. That could be a really cool feeling. It's one of those things. Ultimate Alliance, part of the reason I love Ultimate Alliance, even the second one that isn't that good, is that being able to be those heroes and feel like those heroes and fight alongside each other. It's part of the reason I might be getting a Switch just for Ultimate Alliance 3. Even if the game may not end up being that good, I won't really care because I get to play as that. I think that's one way you can kind of get around it. I don't think that's the game they're making. I think they're making a single-player game, which creates the problem of then, yeah, you've got this shift. And I think the only way to then get around that is to... Here it looks like that the fight on the bridge, you swap between the characters a fair bit, and that'll be the opening mission essentially to get you used to everyone and all the mechanics. I think later on, like, you need to then only put characters in certain missions where they can be to their full potential. So Black Widow has more spy, stealthy, infiltration type missions, and Hulk and Thor are the big, like, battle ones, and then Iron Man can kind of be a bit of an in-between. But the problem is then it might make certain characters you're like, I don't want to really play as, like, I can see Black Widow being basically that one in some ways. So people just been like, I don't want to do another stealth bit, depending on how they do it. And even then, like, just that shift is going to be so hard to deal with, where you're like, I just want to fly around, like, fight as Thor and feel really powerful like a god again. I don't know how they can get around it really easily without spending a long time on it, and they haven't got a long time. They've been developing this for a while, but, I mean, in terms of other games, it's probably not been that long, or it's been pretty standard, so they're not being given a lot of time to really make all this work as well as it could, especially because people are going to be expecting a lot out of this game. And that kind of leads me on to one of the big issues I had. Well, one of the two big issues I had. There's no Hawkeye, which upsets me. And I assume they made a choice that were like, we can have Hawkeye or we can have Black Widow. And they chose Black Widow for a lot of obvious reasons. But still, I'm upset. I would like to have been Hawkeye. Unless he comes up later in the game, so he's a bit of a reveal for later. But the other one is Cap's uniform. Like, every other character, I'm okay with. They look fine. Like, I really like the way Thor looks. Like, he looks Nordic and, like, rune armor. And Hulk looks like Hulk, and Black Widow looks like Black Widow, and Iron Man looks very movie, which we'll get back to in a minute. Cap just looks too armored, which I don't like. If they're going to go, like, this feels like a comic book to me, and especially because they're not going as realistic as Spider-Man, this feels more comic book in the way everything sort of looks and feels. But then, yeah, they've tried to give Cap this sort of more realistic armor, and it just doesn't look as good. It looks like, I saw people who had issues with all of the outfits. I think most of them are fine. It's just Cap looks weird. And Cap looks weird because he looks more real almost, because he's, bulked up in this, like, big, heavy armor so he can't take damage, when that's not really how Cap should look. Like, the movies don't even do that, so he looks even stranger. And so, like, he should be in a bit more of a sleek, like just a comic book uniform, basically. Like, you could maybe add a little padding to it, but nothing too much. Like, he needs to be pretty damn sleek, because he's meant to be pretty agile as a character. He doesn't look agile here. And that is a big problem for me. Like, he just doesn't look like he can move or act like Captain America. But that's one thing. But leading on to that, like, from the... And one thing with the voice and stuff like that and how they look is, they are not the MCU versions. And a lot of people are going to be coming at this from an MCU point of view. They'll know the MCU and they'll like those characters, so they'll be kind of wanting something like them. They won't be expecting exactly that, probably, but at least something like that. And aside from Iron Man, you're not really getting it here from the look of it. And that can be a problem as a selling point. When people like Cap is the furthest from that. He doesn't sound like Chris Evans. He doesn't really look like Chris Evans. And especially not in his outfit. In face, he kind of looks like he does in the comics are different, like under certain artists. So for me, as a comic guy, the fact that this looks more comic book, I'm actually more excited for it. I don't want the games to be like the MCU films. Because as much as I love the films, I love the comics more. And I think the comics have a lot more to them than the films do. You can get a lot more out of them and do a lot more. But I don't know, like, it just feels that this is obviously trying to bank off a little bit of the MCU, so the fact that it's different makes me then wonder and worry about how close it's going to try and make itself in other things. One thing I am worried about from, like, the few bits they showed, they don't show a lot, but I'm worried it's going to do a big problem of games like this based on a long-lasting franchise. They try to include too much of the lore, and especially villains, and they just sort of cram it all in because they're like, we got this one shot, we're just going to include as much as possible. And it doesn't usually work so great. It creates this cluttered mess where, like, the story doesn't even really make sense that all these villains are suddenly popping up. Like, I saw someone who had an issue with the fact that it's kind of like pretty generic kind of villains of like, oh, Abomination, like, okay. That's like, I'm okay with that. It depends on what the storyline actually is. Like, who set this all up? Is it what kind of a big threat is it? I think is going to be what decides whether or not a character like Abomination makes sense or is just like, oh, they just went very generic. But if they try to include too many villains, it's going to feel too clustered and just painful to get through. And it doesn't make sense, because in a comic book storyline, like, you could have this as a storyline in the comics, you still wouldn't include, like, every fucking Avengers villain. You would involve certain ones, very specific ones. You wouldn't do everyone, because then it becomes too clustered. You would have a very definitive thing, and that's my concern, is that it doesn't necessarily show as much of it, but it has. I think its past games have given me this feeling of they might try to do too much with this. I mean, the first Thor game, based on the movie, which is terrible, I didn't get far in it at all, but I know, like, in that, you get to, like, Surtur and stuff. Like, Surtur is a Ragnarok-level threat, and it was put in a game that was a spin-off from the first Thor movie, which is nowhere near a Surtur-level threat. The Captain America game was actually pretty good, and it focused on a select group of Hydra villains. But then even, like, Iron Man just kept throwing in different Iron Man rogues gallery, but trying to, like, justify them through the storyline it had from the films, and it doesn't quite work too well. But I don't know, I'm still really keen for this. Like, I think it looks pretty decent. I don't know if it looks like the most amazing thing ever at this point, but they've still got a bit to go. It's not even in beta yet. They've still got to build out a few things and then clean up a few things, so I might try and get in the beta access. I think it's only on PlayStation 4 that you can get it, though, so I might end up having to get this game on PlayStation. But I kind of want to know more about it first. I'm pretty sure it's just single player, though. I can't imagine there's a multiplayer aspect at all. But anyway, guys, let me know what you thought of the trailer and what you think about this game, basically, in the comments below. As I said, I've seen people on both sides, so it'd be cool to see some other thoughts. Like, sort of like flesh out maybe what you think and why you feel that way. Because, yeah, I'm pretty keen for it, but it'd be cool to see, like, how other people are reacting to it. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Basically, if you like video games and movies and stuff like that, I do, like, a lot of reaction stuff. I do reviews, do gameplay videos. Yesterday, we'll have dropped the first part of me and Chris playing Layers of Fear 2. I think there's going to be at least 4 parts of that. That'll probably... The editing is proving a little tricky. There was a couple of issues, technical issues, so it's going to take me a little longer to get through. So it might be one every week, unfortunately. But I'm going to try and do more gameplay stuff as well, just by myself and working out with people and all that sort of stuff. And if you might have noticed, people have watched a few videos. Background's a bit different. It's been a bit different for a couple of videos. Basically, I'm changing my setup. I originally was moving the setup just to record with Chris. Now I've decided to change my setup. Moving from one room to another room because I realized the lighting is better, the actual like soundproofing is better. There's a lot of things better about this putting it here instead. I've still got to actually move it into its final position. I probably won't get around to that till the weekend maybe. We'll see how it goes unless I have time during the week. But yeah, once it's set up, that'll pretty much be it for the foreseeable future anyway. And yeah, so I'll be all like doing my thing from wherever it is, and it'll look a certain way, and I'll try and set dress and stuff like that. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
Can I wear this hat everywhere? That'll make me feel strong.
It would make me feel strong. In my pants.
Beep. I'm standing in front of that, and I'm not casting a shadow. Just thought I'd point that out.
Or rear projection.
This is literally...
That's actually a false projector.
This is literally unplayable.
Also, that projector's not on.
Don't worry about